Dr. Eleanor Vance lived in her lab. It was her sanctuary, her obsession. Years of tireless research, fueled by ambition and a thirst for discovery. Her life's work, a serum to reverse aging, not for vanity, but for the betterment of humanity, to offer more time, more experiences, to truly live. Eleanor's dedication was unmatched. Sleepless nights bent over microscopes, the clinking of beakers, her symphony. Her meticulous notes, a testament to her unwavering pursuit. The serum was her masterpiece, the culmination of years of sacrifice. It was finally ready.
And then came Richard, her boss, with his slicked back hair and predatory charm. He saw not the scientific breakthrough, but the financial windfall. He promised her the world, her own lab, funding, even a family with him. He claimed to desire a child with a woman as brilliant as her. Eleanor, blinded by his promises and the hope of a future beyond the lab, shared her triumph with him. A mistake that would cost her dearly. A mistake that would unleash her dormant fury.
Richard, true to his nature, claimed Eleanor's research as his own. He basked in the limelight, the accolades, the financial windfall. Eleanor was sidelined, her contributions erased, her name a mere footnote in his narrative of success. He became the face of youth, the pioneer, the genius. But the betrayal cut deeper. Richard, despite his promises of a family, had secretly undergone a vasectomy years ago. He had no intention of having children. He saw Eleanor as a means to an end, her brilliance nothing more than a tool to fuel his ambition.
Eleanor discovered his deception by chance. A misplaced medical bill left on the shared office printer revealed the truth. The casual cruelty, the calculated betrayal, it all crashed down on her. The man she had foolishly allowed into her life, the man she had trusted with her dreams, was a fraud.
That night, the lab felt different. It wasn't her sanctuary anymore, but a battleground. The silence was no longer peaceful, but thick with the anticipation of revenge. In her hands, the vial containing the serum felt cold, almost alive, and she knew exactly what she had to do.
Richard, drunk on his own success, stumbled into the lab late one night. He was celebrating, bragging about his latest conquest. He didn't even notice Eleanor, her figure shrouded in the shadows, her eyes burning with cold fury. He didn't see her approach, didn't feel the prick of the needle, the sting of his betrayal being repaid in kind.
As he boasted and swaggered, oblivious to the fate Eleanor had just sealed for him, she watched. Her heart was a stone, cold and unforgiving. The effects were swift. At first, Richard laughed, attributing his sudden burst of energy to the champagne.
Eleanor, her arms crossed, watched his transformation with detached fascination. This was not the outcome he had envisioned. This was not the eternal youth he craved. This was her revenge, served cold and calculated. He was trapped in a nightmare of his own making. And she, the woman he had underestimated, the woman he had betrayed, was the architect of his downfall.
Each day, Richard grew younger.
Or rather, he shrunk, his body regressing through the years at an alarming pace. He became a teenager, then a petulant child, his pleas for help turning into angry shouts.
Eleanor, once his shadow, was now his keeper. She observed his transformation with clinical detachment.
His once booming voice now a shrill squeak, his arrogant swagger reduced to clumsy stumbles, his carefully crafted persona stripped away to reveal the scared child within.
The lab, once a symbol of his false triumph, became his prison. The air, thick with the scent of his desperation, his fading masculinity.
Eleanor documented everything. Her notes meticulous, her observations precise. A scientist to the core, even in her vengeance.
Through it all, she felt no remorse. He had made his choices, woven his web of deceit. Now, he was entangled in his own creation, a prisoner of the youth he so desperately craved.
And she, the architect of his downfall, held the key to his fate.
The transformation was complete.
Richard, the man who had sought to cheat time, was now a helpless infant, his mind trapped in his rapidly de-aging body. He lay in a crib, swaddled in blankets, his eyes filled with a chilling awareness. He had become the very thing he disdained, vulnerable, dependent, powerless. His cries echoed in the lab, but they were not the cries of a hungry baby. They were cries of frustration, of anger, of the crushing weight of his predicament.
He was a prisoner in his own body, his mind a torment of memories he could no longer articulate.
Eleanor, watching him with an unreadable expression, felt a strange sense of satisfaction. He was hers now, completely dependent on her. The power dynamic had shifted, the balance restored.
He was no longer the manipulator, the deceiver, the thief. He was her creation, her responsibility.
She would teach him respect, she decided. She would mold him in her image, instill in him the values he so lacked. He would learn what it meant to be truly human, to value empathy over ambition, compassion over greed. The lab transformed into a nursery, the scent of chemicals replaced by baby powder. Eleanor, once a scientist consumed by her research, was now a mother figure, albeit one born out of vengeance.
She cared for Richard's every need, her touch firm, yet strangely tender. He was a quick study, his adult mind grasping concepts faster than his infant body could express.
Their interactions were a strange dance, a mix of baby babble and knowing glances. He learned to communicate his needs, his fears, his begrudging respect for the woman who held his fate in her hand.
He was, she realized with a mixture of amusement and triumph, her happy little boy. Trapped in infancy, yes, but also stripped bare of the toxic masculinity that had defined him.
He was learning empathy, compassion, vulnerability, the very qualities he had spent a lifetime suppressing.
And as she looked down at him, his tiny hand clutching her finger, she knew that her revenge was complete. He was no longer the man who had wronged her, but a blank slate. A chance to rewrite the narrative, to mold a man in the image of true equality. But as minutes turned into hours, his laughter turned into panicked gasps.